Welcome to a new test and teardown video. This time it's a Nordmende FG 387 color TV generator from about 1967. What is this old for color and TV and color bars and all that kind of stuff. And it's of course all analog, just a bunch of transistors, and they managed to have a crystal oscillator for the 5.5 megahertz for the sound, so you can turn on and off the sound modulator. And there is of course a color bursts oscillator and color bar generator and all that kind of stuff, and it's all done by some transistor counting, selecting, and all that kind of stuff, and of course different colors like that. And then you can turn on and off a PAL. So this means of course the color modulator. You turn this on here, and then you can turn, this is of course mains, and then that will be the level of composite, the video level. And we got some different pulses and horizontal, so that means it's free running oscillators for how many lines and how many, all that. I mean, it's not done with proper counters or anything like that, so all the ratios and whatnot is not super accurate. So will I be able to adjust this and tune this so I can get a picture on a modern TV screen? I don't know yet. And then there is a TV modulator, an RF modulator that will make this into an RF signal that can go into the TV receiver antenna input. We got some different pre-programmed channels. I don't know exactly how this works, because when I select one of these, then I can turn up and down the channel like that. And then what happens here, see, exactly the same. So how's this working? Well, just be the different frequency bands we turn on and off, and then that will be the indicator, right? So it's not memories or anything, this is just frequency bands. And here is the horizontal synchronization. And the idea is, of course, you use this to generate some signals, put this into a TV set you're about to repair, and then you can sync this with your scope, and then you can easier monitor and find what is going on, what is bugging you in your TV unit that is not working. So here at the back, the only thing I see is one missing screw, and that will be the label with the serial number and everything. It is of course made in West Germany, so it is obviously pretty old. But first we need to open and do a proper status report. What is going on? So I removed all the sides so we can really see what is going on. And the first thing I see is a little test pin that's somebody soldered here, right? So this is an important check signal, probably. I also find voltages written, and plus 15 here, and this is plus 4.5 volts. So that will be important checkpoints for different voltages. I think up here we got the power supply, and I can see a capacitor that looks like interesting. Somebody's been soldering around here. There was a, I don't know, transistor repair or something like that. We got long pins sticking up, maybe nearly touching the top. So of course I don't power up stuff. I need to do a good visual check out first. And here we got two little lamps that's just hanging like this. They of course illuminate the scale. Oh, look at that. It's all just hanging completely loose here, and possibly shorting everything. I mean, this is not good enough for a power up, and I need to at least do something like that, right? Now, it's not looking good, but I can proceed. And then let's have a little look here from the side. That will be the transformer, a little bit more capacitors, the switching for the different frequencies bands. We got a little fuse right there. It seems to be intact. That will be the oscillator. Or quite what? We got some funky white stuff in there. It could be funny to let's see if we can go in there somehow. So that is a little bit interesting. We got some foam isolation in here, and then look at that lid with a copper shield, something nice and flexible, and then a copper shield to connect to the edge. And I think this is probably even silver coated or something like that. So the idea is we should be able to take this out somehow. Maybe, I don't know how to do that, but we should be somehow. How do we do that? So that was how it's supposed to be done. Ooh la la, beautiful the way they made this. And that is of course the oscillator thingy for all the different frequencies. And we got, see, some high frequency components down here. And then you select everything with probably some diode switches and all that. It's nicely made with the through capacitors or through filters like that. That is most likely the RF output, right? Or maybe even video input. Let's look at that. Oh yeah, look at that. Here we go. That signal goes to a little amplifier unit that is powered like that. And then the signal here goes, that is the little attenuator, and then it goes to the RF output. Quite amazing. And we got connectors so we can pull out each of the little circuit boards here. It looks like, let's see. Let's look a little bit on those plug-in modules. Of course, this is old tech. I'm a little bit worried about this. Look how brown and burned it looks like. So there was maybe something that blew up once. You can also see some soldering. So I guess some component here maybe, I don't know. Well. And that will be a 4.433 megahertz crystal. And some different modulators. I think that will be the color modulators and the color burst oscillator, and then there will be some phase shift, and then you using some transistors to activate the different color phases in time, and this will be activated using those resistor networks. And here you of course adjust the right colors. I mean, this is just a guess. There's a little transistor right there. Let's take out another one. It's also a little bit funny. The first two modules, they go in like this. And then the last one, it's upside down. So could you, no, you cannot mount this way. But what you can do is you can mount these two wrong like that, and you can also put this down here. So it's important to know what is what really. Oh, here we see some color indication. And that is of course the diodes that enables the different colors. And what we have up here will of course be some counters. This is nice. I mean, if this is going to give me a color TV picture in any way, I will be impressed, but there is all the signs this could probably work. Wow, we got so many transistors. From 1967. So that is Schalter, that means a switch. I actually think they silver plated the contacts, and this explains the corrosion we see right here. We can also see some repairs, and also a funny thing, see how long really? They cut the pins this long. This is amazing. So this is like 5 millimeters in average. Really, really long. And again, what a fascinating design. Quite a lot of trimmers. All this is, of course, analog technology at the time, directly after tubes. 1967. I cannot forget about it. So it says this is the video signal forming. So this is where it's going to make the different levels, I guess, of the video signal. Look at those heatsink metal tubes. They stick down on those transistors. Yeah, well, yeah, I want to clean this a little bit. They used all possible space to put in components, even between the circuit boards, and trimmers up here. I think we got holes in the circuit board up there so you can actually access those trimmers. And this one looks like it's a double-sided circuit board, not with a plated circuit board technology, but they put in something in the holes here to create a connection between the layers. So this is going to be the first power up, and let's go in PAL color bars. Everything is in the middle, and this is the power on off. And let's turn on mains, and nothing bad happened. And oi, look at that. Wow, look at that. We got something. It's using 18 watts. And let's trim. Oh, look at that, look. Oh, it's inverted. Oh no, it's inverted. Look at that. What the? Everything is inverted. How is that possible? Oh no! You gotta see this. So this is the composite signal. It actually says here on the screen, it says negative, 0, and positive. And look what happens. Here it is in the negative, and it is, as you can see, inverted. And if I go over up here, look at that. It is now not inverted anymore. I don't know. I have a little bit of a problem with the trigger, but you'll see what I mean. This is going to work. Haha. I think it's almost working. Let's try and turn dim the light a little bit here. Look what is going to happen here. So this, we actually got color bars, and I selected color bars, and by tuning the video level, look at that. I can almost make it good and stable. And then we got something here that is changing. See how this looks? It rolls this way or that way. Of course, everything is completely free running except for the color bars. See? Wait, I got it, almost. There is some funky stuff going on here, and I don't know how to make it stable. Well, but then we can go blue, and we can go green, red, and we can make the gray, and make that one. We can also do this, and then we can do the sound. I don't know anything about that yet, but it is of course very, very unstable. I think this is how this is going to end. And if I turn, okay, we got some other funky. I mean, I'm still a little bit impressed that it's actually doing this much, to be honest. So I hope you enjoyed this video so far. I'm not going to spend the next 500 hours going through all the little transistors and see if I can make this little unstable behavior here be any better. I'm sorry, this is not within my patience level, but it seems like there is maybe even just a little adjustment thing here. If only. All right, thank you, see you, bye bye.